what up? Welcome into another NBA playoff, finals edition with the OG crew minus Dutch. NBA's been treating us very nicely around here, and let's try to keep that going for one more series. We, I know I cashed the Heat to win the East plus 450, and I had the under in Game 7. How have things been going for you, Bobano? How you doing today?
Yeah, I mean, finally, we lost a best bet on the show the other day in Game 7. It was just frustrating because there's a layup with Caleb Martin, just going back to the well with that, and instead we picked Bam, who really had a brutal shooting night, especially in the first half into the third quarter. It was really not until the fourth quarter he started to get on track a little bit. But still, that game was pretty good. We had Miami plus the points. They win outright. They advanced to the NBA Finals with that win against Boston, and now we're here in the finals. And look, I know there's not the series everybody expected. When the playoffs started, certainly people really surprised Miami got this far, but I think it's a fascinating series. I'm into it. I'm excited. I think that there's a lot of intrigue. I think if you look at these two teams, the better individual talent probably resides with Denver. When you look at Jokic and you look at Murray and you look at proven playoff performers, giving them some grit, some winning metal like a Bruce Brown's here and a Contavious Caldwell Pope is here to help this team in the playoffs. I think that talent of that Denver team is ultra strong, a little bit higher than Miami, but you can't deny Miami's team ball. Okay, team basketball has gotten Miami to this point. Butler's had his big nights, but he's gotten great performances from Strus, from Gabe Vincent. Duncan Robinson finally shows up in the end of the Boston series. He played pretty well. And of course, Caleb Martin, it goes without saying what a series he had against Boston. And look, I think as a team, and you know what they say is while we know this is a superstar sport, you got to have your superstar. Miami's kind of debunking the theory because this team as a collective has gotten to this point. And you can't sell them short, even though I think if you look at the roster and you grade it out position by position, player by player, you probably give the advantage to Denver. So it's a fascinating series. It's two coaches I really like, Michael Malone and Eric Spoelstra. And I love Spo. We all do. We think he's, top coach in the NBA, one of, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. But Michael Malone won't take a back seat to him here. And Michael Malone is certainly going to be better able than a Budenholzer or a Thibodeau or a Mazzulla to match wits with a guy like Eric Spoelstra. So it's a fascinating series. Can't wait.
I agree. Very fascinating series. These teams have a little bit of animosity. Remember the Jokic and the Morris thing. And the one thing I'll say about this series, I'll be happy, for whoever wins because I think Jimmy really deserves a ring. And I want Jokic to get a ring so they can stop all this hating that they doing on my boy. So I'll be fine with either one of them winning. Wham, I know who you don't want to see win a ring. How's everything been treating you? How you doing today?
Oh wow, we gonna start that off already, huh? We started off.
Spicy.
I see, gotta be spicy, you know what I'm saying? We got our boy Dutch down here. Shout out to my boy Dutch. Shout out to everybody on the chat as well. Tony Trill, Nathan K, Chris Lawrence, and Jay Gill. Big Red, what's happening with you, Big Red? First thing I think about is Sexy Red. That's out of line. That's out of pocket. I ain't gonna go there. So yeah, but yeah, man. So it's been good. Yeah, like you said, we had the under last game, so best bet for me was a good look there. Hopefully, we could mimic the same thing. We've been pretty solid as fuck, in this episodes that we've been doing on your channel, bro. So I just can't, like you said, man. I can't wait to keep going. But I really wish it did continue to go instead of the ending like this. We only have a few more games. I mean, at the most 7 games. I hope it does go 7 there, and I'm not gonna lie because I think this is a fascinating series. And I agree with you, Babano, but to a certain extent, like as far as like Mike Malone, even if he wins this, he's not going to be out coached or he's not going to be higher than Eric Spoelstra. So I don't even think he's going to be able to even exceed him in this game. Shout out to my boy Boofer. He said, "Is he sexy, Boofer?" I don't know, bro. I don't know. Little Wham out here. I think he agrees, though. He's starting to come out the woodwork, so I think he agrees. But in this game, no man, I'm really excited to see how this shit shakes up. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see the big layovers as well with Denver. Something similar to the little special that they gave out for the AI on NBA TV. Talked about how the Lakers had a long layover in that game when we know how that turned out. The Lakers was undefeated in the playoffs. They had a long layover, blew it in game one. Wouldn't be surprised if something similar happened today, but we'll break that down right here. And I don't know if I'm going against Jokic. I kind of agree with you. I do think both of these guys deserve it, though. So I will say I wouldn't be mad if either one of them, but I hope we cash. That's all that matters, bro.
Yeah, that's all that matters at the end of the day. We take them tickets to the window. LJ, what up? He's dropping
Yeah.
in some props right away. He says Bam over 3.5 assists, Butler over 2.5 steals, Jokic over 9.5 assists, Murray PRA over 36.5. Appreciate you, LJ. Take them tickets to the window. Let's get straight to it, man. We'll talk a little bit about. I want to ask this question first. I mean, I have the game banner here, but I want to ask about the series real quick. Is this going to be? I mean, like minus 1.5 games for Denver was like it's getting juiced up. It's minus 165. Majority of everybody think this is going to be a relatively easy series for them. They think it'll be over in 5 or 6. Do you guys see it being that easy of a series for Denver, or do you think Miami Heat, they're plus 350? Do you think they can be competitive? Would you look at them plus a couple games, or how you going, Babano?
Yeah, I think the way to approach it is Miami plus 2.5 or over 5.5 games in the series are bets that interest me, that appeal to me here in this series. There's a reason I took Miami to win the title, thinking I thought they could win it after what I saw against Milwaukee, the number one team, and how they dispatched the Bucks and played it so impressive. And little did I know at the time, I just had that gut feel. It was just a gut feeling that look what they just did against Milwaukee. And I had the pictures in my mind of just how mediocre this Miami team was all season. But then I saw that Milwaukee series. And at that moment, I said, if Miami can build off this and prove that series win over Milwaukee was not a fluke, I have to bet plus 3,700 for them to win the title right now. I have to bet plus, what was it? 950, I think it was at the time, to win the East going into that second round. And sure enough, they did play their best from that point on. They did find their game at the right time. Keep in mind how that Miami team had so many injuries. They never had the same starting five every night. Butler's in and out all season. Lowry's in and out all season. Bam had some injuries throughout the year. Hero, of course, as well. They had a lot of guys resting game to game. It was just never a fluid lineup every night for Eric Spoelstra. And sometimes it just takes getting everybody together and the playoffs to arrive, and you just flip a switch. That's usually a hockey thing, by the way, in the hockey Stanley Cup playoffs, where a team just barely gets in and they all of a sudden make a run and get to the finals, kind of like the Florida Panthers have done in the hockey side of things. You never see that in the NBA. You never saw this shit 10 years ago, 20 years ago. A number 8 seed barely sneaks into the playoffs, and here they are in the NBA finals. This is a first for the NBA, a first in a very long time we've seen something like this. And I think it's good for the sport. It's good for the league. I'm sick of seeing the 1 seed roll over the 8 seed every fucking year in the first round. I'm sick of it. Let's see some parity here. Let's see some upsets. I think it's good. And what Miami's done, I think they've validated what they've done with this run here in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, yes, I think Denver probably, like I said, roster talent-wise, they're a little bit better than Miami, but Miami's playing great team ball. They've got an elite head coach, and I don't think they're going to take a back step to the Denver Nuggets at any point in this series. I think it's a competitive series, whoever the winner of this NBA Finals are. So I like the idea of either a Miami plus 2.5 games bet or an over 5.5 games in the series bet. I think it's 6 minimum.
I agree. I personally chose the over 5.5 games because I got a better price, and I think if Miami does lose this first game, you can get plus 2.5 games at probably plus money. Wham bam. You think there's some value on Miami to win the series? You're looking at them plus a couple games. How you looking to play this from a series perspective?
Yeah, I love everything Babano and you're saying here. I haven't made any serious bets in this game yet because I was kind of skeptical in the first game on it being as wide of a margin that this point spread is. Like you said, that they expect this to be kind of pretty much a blowout or something close to a sweep. Even at 5.5 is the most appealing, I think, out of all of those, and along with the 2.5 as well with Miami, because you got to pay the juice with the 2.5, but you're just telling me that they just got to hold down home court. They don't even have to win in Mile High. I mean, in order for them to go and get that 2.5. So I think that that's still good money there. But for the most part, I agree with you. I think the 5.5 is probably the way I would go if if I had a free bet on it, or if I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on any of these series props. it probably would be the 5.5 over games because I think it's going to be a competitive series for sure.
All right, well, we all agree on that. We don't see this one being, too lopsided. We think the Miami Heat can compete, even though we probably think the Nuggets are a better team. So, couple thoughts on how to play the series. Let's get to game one. 5-13, 5-14. Miami in Denver, heading into altitude. Opened up Nuggets -8. We now see them -9 pretty much everywhere. Total open 218 and a half. And make sure you line shop. It's either 218 and a half or 219. As far as an injury report, Tyler Hero remains out. Looks like everybody else will be available for the Heat. And there is nobody on the injury report for the Nuggets. So I want to come back to you first here, Wham Bam. And I'm going to ask, are you, the Nuggets have been off for 9 days. The Heat have been off for 3. Are you one to think it's a rust versus rest kind of a deal? Do you think Denver is going to take some time to get going in this game? Is it Miami early? How you thinking about this one from a side perspective?
So what I loved about the Miami Heat, not only have they just been exceeding expectations, obviously I started off fading them this playoffs, and we get to the point that I'm like one of their best supporters now. I'm just one of their best supporters. I'm just riding out the wave because they continue to be underdogs, especially in game ones, and they continue to hold it down in those situations. The one thing that I like, and I was trying to explain, is that they got the tickets to the fucking Denver right after the game, before the game even started. That's just that type of mentality is like, yeah, we trying to hurry up and get to this elevation and get right. You know what I mean? And that way it doesn't really affect them. The thing for me if it's so much time that you have for you to get your shot down, for you to get used to the ball floating, for you to get used to, your breathing patterns and all that stuff, it's going to benefit you. And I think that the number is kind of, kind of out of the wear. So I haven't put the plus money on the 9 because I just think that the number is just so crazy. You can't see a blowout, but I think if you do see a blowout in this game, it will still show some sort of competitiveness that there's still going to be some guys scoring on each other. They're not going to be a blowout on the defensive side of things. I think it's going to be mostly a blowout because guys are making shots and they continue to go up high pace type of caliber thing. And we've seen this Miami Heat play different type of styles. We've seen Spoelstra make these type of adjustments. I don't think you want to take head up with Bam. I don't think you want Bam head up with Jokic. I think he wants to utilize Bam's speed, try to get a little bit more in transition. And that being said, I think the over is a good play. I've seen some of our guys in the chat say they like the over. I'm thinking I did take the over 218 and a half. And I do like that look a lot, all the way up to 222, honestly, or 225, because I think it's going to be a high-paced game. I think these guys are going to just score on each other. I think Miami has got enough time to be able to get used to the shots, get used to their, the schemes that they're going to be able to have here, even though it's been a short turnaround and such a long layoff for the Nuggets. I think the long layoff is going to hurt the Nuggets for sure. So if anything in this game, bro, I think I gotta play Miami, and I'm going to only play the money line. I don't even want the 9 points, honestly, because I think if whoever's going to win is going to cover it. So if you're going to get the Denver Nuggets here, they're going to win by double digits, or you're going to get this Miami Heat team. Maybe had that Jimmy Butler, smirk on the sideline, like, okay, all we need to do is win one, or we could figure it out and him putting it all on the line, get foul calls. Getting the production that he was getting from Caleb Martin. I know a lot of people have been writing off Caleb Martin from what I've been hearing this last week. I wouldn't be so quick to write him off, bro. The way he's playing, it's just a lot of energy. It's a lot of offensive rebound. It's a lot of, things that you could translate into the next game, next series. I think that's something that, you may want to be a lookout for. I know a lot of people want to fade Caleb Martin now, but I think he's probably still good. I know this number's going crazy, but that's not where I'm going to go as far as props, though. I'm going to go with Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is going to continue to show that it's Hemi Butler, bro. He's going to continue to hold it down. He's averaged over the last few games 6 assists in the last series. He's averaged, the last few meetings against this Nuggets team. I think the last five meetings he's had 6 assists. Last 4 of the last 5 meetings he's had 6 assists, and I just think he's going to be able to continue to do that. I think we know what type of ball handler he is, what type of plays he's going to be trying to do. And I think that up-tempo play style is just going to give him more opportunity. So I like the over 218 and a half. That's the official play for me. But the best bet, bro, is gonna be Jimmy Butler, man. I think Jimmy Butler over 5.5 assists, just too good. It's juiced at minus 142, 146. I think you're getting right now. I wouldn't be mad at that, man. If I'll pay the juice right there, I think he gets 6 assists, and he averaged that in this series. So it's going to be going up, I believe, before the end of the series. So I'm hopping on it now. Why it's a short number.
Got you. A lot of stuff there that WAM is liking in this game. A lot of different ways to get paid. I wanted to bring up a couple comments here today. First one, well, Alfonso Scott, he says Lowry over 9.5 points, Gordon over 5.5 rebounds. A couple other looks there. This comment from 40-ounce beer belly dude. Nuggets games in game one in the first half this postseason. First Minnesota, they were up 11. First the Suns, they were up 17. First the Lakers, they were up 18 in the first half. He says he likes the Nuggets first half -5. And I understand the thought process there. Appreciate you sharing. D. Finney, maybe throwing a little jab at our guy Dutch. Says, where's your buddy with the cigar? So confident Boston would win. He's not ducking no smoke. He just had an appointment. We don't usually do shows on Thursday, but we decided to do one today because it's a game today. So he couldn't make it. He'll be back for the next one. And there was another comment here. I'm gonna kick this one to Obano. Inquiring minds want to know, what are we doing with Caleb Martin? Are we going back to the well? Are we fading him? What do we do?
So this is a totally different series, totally different opponent, better coach, and someone that I think is going to be more equipped to do something about the red hot, scorching Caleb Martin going into this series. But I ain't stepping off the train until the train comes to a crashing halt. So I am going to take the prop again with Caleb Martin tonight over points. But again, this is a new series. This is probably a Denver team that's fully aware of how he has played, and especially in that game 7. I mean, I'm seeing these pull-up threes. I'm seeing taking it to the rim. I'm seeing these fade-away, fall-away jumpers, off balance, and he's hitting every shot in that game. This is Caleb Martin, folks. Like, his play and how it's gotten so much better and how he's just continuously become a better scorer throughout these playoffs. It's been fun to watch, and, man, has it been ever come in handy for the Miami Heat to see this guy really play like this, especially because Butler was being keyed on later in that series pretty much. And, they needed Caleb Martin's points, believe it or not, and he delivered in a big way for Miami. So this is a better coach, though, and I think they're going to be definitely looking to put an end to this little streak that Martin's put together. That being said, until I see him cool off, we're going to keep going with it. It's another reasonable number, 15.5 for his point prop tonight. So I do like that. I'll get to some other props I like here as far as the game is concerned. I'll start with the side and the total. So I laid 8 with Denver early in the week. I think it was the morning after game 7. And I figured I'm just going to get in now. I like that side already. And I know it's probably going to go up a bit. And sure enough, it has. It's gone from 8 to 9 here in the last 2 days. Now it's up to 9. I mean, I still lean Denver for the full game, but I've changed my thinking where I thought maybe early in the game, the rest for Denver, they're going to come out super strong and smoke Miami. It actually could be a first quarter into the second quarter slow start for Denver, just because Miami's running on the fumes and the adrenaline of that 7-game series win, just a little bit more rhythm in their game, whereas Denver's coming off over a week sitting around, although they have been practicing. It's not like they've been sitting on their hands, and they've been trying to stay game ready here for game 1. Malone's done a nice job of that. He's kept a regular practice schedule for the Nuggets here between the Lakers series and the start of this game tonight. So I think that should help Denver just a little bit in terms of being ready to go here. But still, I'm not totally on the fence of that belief that this is going to be just a fast start for Denver. It could be the opposite, or maybe it takes a quarter for them to get into game form. And then as the game goes on, then you see Miami in the thin air and the altitude and 7 games and the accumulation of just an intense 7-game series against Boston, playing in the thin air altitude, turning around from Monday to Thursday. Maybe in the second half that shows up more for the Miami Heat. That's why I decided, you know what, just go full game with the Denver Nuggets, which I did. That being said, throughout the course of the series, I'm probably not looking to lay points a ton. I just feel situationally there's a lot that really speaks to Denver's side and Denver's advantage here in game 1 tonight. So I did end up laying the 8. It's up to 9. I still like it at -9. I like this over that Wham mentioned. I think it's definitely a good look. here as far as the total is concerned. What do you do for against a team that's just played 7 games, a really exhausting series that had to rescue themselves after almost blowing a 3-0 series lead? That's a mental, physical tax on you as an athlete when you have to go through what Miami did. What do you do if you're the opponent tonight, Denver, knowing Miami's coming into this series off that? You wear them the fuck out. You make them sprint end to end, and you push that ball up the court. And that is what you try to do. You crank this tempo and pace up as much as humanly possible. And look, Michael Malone and the Nuggets have played this way all playoffs. They kind of wore out the Lakers playing this way in the Western Conference Finals. And I think they're going to look to do that tonight here against this Miami team and really wear them down throughout the course of 48 minutes in this one. So I think the pace will be high. Miami's one of those teams where if they play a snail, they'll be a snail. If they play a hare and a sprinter, they'll play like a sprinter. They'll basically dance at the pace and tempo of their opponents. So if Denver's going to push, Miami can play that way. If the opponent wants to slow it down, Miami's shown they can play that way as well. So I like this total here over. And by the way, the last 2 Denver home games in game 1, Phoenix series in the second round, Lakers series in the Western Conference Finals. What did we see in the game 1s? They just pedal to the metal with tempo and just trying to get out and transition and get those easy baskets. The Phoenix game 1 in the second round flew over the total. I was on it. I think Skee was on it. The first game of the Western Conference Finals with Nuggets Lakers flew way over the total. I think that was 132 to it was a massive high scoring game 1 with the Lakers and the Nuggets. I don't know if we'll get that here, but all we need is 220, to get over this number. And I think it'll get there. And then as far as the props go, I like Martin double-double. I'm going to take another. He got so close to that. Actually, he did get it, I think, in game 7. He did.
Yeah, he got it last game. Yeah.
He did. Yeah, I'm coming back to it. I thought he was going to miss it there. And then just the tail end of the 4th, he finally got to those 10 rebounds to end up getting that double-double. So I like it again. The price is sure good at plus 360. Why not? Caleb Martin double-double here tonight. Jokic triple-double is just automatic for me to bet that most games, minus 105. And there's actually a series prop out there. Jokic to average a triple-double, Denver to win the series, plus 100. It's not a bad price. And then there are a couple series props. I like, by the way, for threes props, there's a bunch I like in the threes props because I think there's going to be a lot of threes made here, especially tonight. Strus over 2.5 threes. Michael Porter Jr. over 2.5 made threes. Duncan Robinson over 1.5 made threes at only minus 145 with how we saw him get going. KCP over threes, over 1.5 made threes. I think he's going to have an impact offensively for the Denver Nuggets in this series. So there's a good amount of made threes props I like tonight. And then in the series props, I've got a couple main ones. I mentioned the over 5.5 games. Top point score, leading scorer for the series. I've got 2 bets there. I know Jokic and Butler are the favorites to be the leading scorer in the series. I think Jokic is plus 110, Butler's plus 160. I'll take my chances with the Canadian, Jamal Murray, plus 260 to be the leading scorer in this year. I think he's going to have a huge series, honestly, for the Denver Nuggets. And by the way, interesting stat, he's looking to become the 9th Canadian NBA player to be an NBA champion. And that's not a bad list. At this point in time, if you actually look at who's been an NBA champion that's Canadian in the past, Bill Wennington's on that list from those Michael Jordan Bulls teams, Rick Fox from the LA Lakers. Yeah, I mean, there's some good Andrew Wiggins just recently, Chris Boucher when they won with the Raptors that year. He's on that list. Nice. Not my favorite Canadian, but he was a title winner. Tristan Thompson with the Cleveland Cavaliers in that year that they won with LeBron over Golden State. He's on TV now, I see as well, Tristan, getting his TV licks in. But it's a good list, and Jamal Murray's looking to join that list. I think he has a good series. I think he's got a chance to lead this series in points, so plus 260. And I had to sprinkle something on Caleb Martin, top scorer in the series, 65-1. It's a long shot. I know Denver's going to key in on him more defensively because of what he did last round, but he's red hot. He couldn't be stopped in Game 7. We're not asking, just put a couple bucks on it, and who knows? I think at the price, it's worth a look there. 65 plus 6,500 for Caleb Martin, leading scorer in the series. So there you go.
So Bobano answered your guys' question. He's still rocking with Caleb tonight. And he likes the Denver side there too. So a little bit of,
not as much though. Like I was just like boasting about it a couple games ago in the Boston series, the Caleb prop, especially the game where he got inserted into the lineup, and they did what I thought they would do. Eric Spoelstra took Kevin Love out and put Caleb Martin in. And of course, he went way over his point prop that game, went over it again in game 7. I don't like it as much tonight, though, because I respect the Denver team and the coaching staff and the adjustments they'll make. And they know Caleb Martin burned Boston in the last round. You're not splitting the atom figuring that one out. Denver knows that. So I think there's going to be some kind of scheme and game plan to make sure he doesn't do that to the Nuggets here in this series.
I feel you on that. It's a couple comments that I wanted to shout out while both of you guys were talking. And first, BJ's not feeling wham bam. He said, or maybe it's some not bickering, but banter going back and forth in the chat too. Maybe he wasn't talking to Wham, maybe he was talking to somebody else. But he says, if you take Miami today, send me the money. I got Apple Pay and Cash App. He said he's trying to book you. I like that comment right there. And then this comment by Sean: if the Heat win, Markieff Morris gets a ring for emotional trauma.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, the chat is on one today. I love it.
I love it.
There's a couple more comments. If I could just scroll and get them here. But no, I can't find the other one. Oh, this one. Matt Mills. Denver is only 16-1 against the spread when favored by 7 or more. Indicates they rely on outscoring their opponents versus clamping on defense. Miami is 10-3 in the same scenario against the spread. I wanted to call this
Denver,
one out
by the way, if you're wondering the rest for Denver, 3 days or more of rest. Denver's 14-6 against the spread their last 20 in this situation where they've had extended rest.
And also, Denver's the second best home team so far this season.
Yep.
And when they have the rest advantage as a big home favorite of more than 7, they win those games by an average of 18.75 points per game, and they've won every single one. So counter what you're saying there, Matt Mills. Other things I wanted to mention on this game, I agree with you guys that I think I would prefer the over. Mike Malone always talks about it. Denver is a top running team. They don't want to get into going against their opponent's set defense. They want to get out and sprint every chance that they get. So I agree. The thought process should be like run these guys into the ground. They just came off a 7-game series. So I do agree with that. I probably would prefer a little bit more of the the Denver team total over 114, just because I don't really see, and I get that Spoelstra can adjust and all that stuff. I don't see a way that Miami defends Denver and like holds them down. It's too many ways that they can score. So I do think on the flip side, there's ways for the Nuggets to slow down Miami a little bit. Put a bigger defender on Jimmy Butler, maybe like Aaron Gordon. You got Bruce Brown, KCP, who are good defenders. I think they could hold their part on that. So I want to trust the Nuggets side a little bit more. I prefer their team total. But the spot, it's the Nuggets, man. There's no rust in the NBA Finals. This is what these guys been waiting their whole life for. They're not sitting around partying and just waiting to play the game. They practicing, they getting ready. They're gonna come out there looking like their legs are great versus Miami, whose legs are gonna be dying as the game goes on. So that's how I see it in general for the series. When I think about it, like Spoelstra is good at making second half adjustments, but I just don't see it in this first game. Other than that, like if I like Denver any other game, I probably would take them first half, get in and get out. But this game, I think you take them over the course of 48 minutes. So that's how I feel about it. And if I was going to shout out any props, the ones that have been called out to me that I think I can agree with just throughout today, I like the Butler steals. I like the Bam assist. I like Jokic assist. And those are probably the ways that I would go. I like that Butler assist too. But those would be the props.
That's the one I like the most. Butler assists over 5.5 minus 140. Actually, that's is one of my prop bets. Forgot to mention it. I like that one. I think he'll facilitate quite a bit, and I think he has confidence in these guys now. Strus and Duncan Robinson starting to get going, and Vincent. Keep an eye on Vincent tonight. Okay, Vincent's now finally had 2 days off between games with that ankle. Okay, so that's got to help him. There's no question about that. This will be the first time since he's come back from that ankle injury he's had more than 1 day off. between games. So that's got to be a benefit for Gabe Vincent, and certainly the shooting proficiency for him. So I think that leads to Butler becoming, and of course we know what Martin has done. So, I think Butler's going to be a willing passer tonight. I like that Butler assists.
And
Shout
Wham
out
Bam.
to Peasy.
Yeah, JPZ likes MPJ 8 rebounds, and Nuggets money line says it's plus 152.
I like that.
Trying to look at a couple more comments. Alvin says Heat been the best money maker all playoffs. I agree. I think I need to get caught up. All these comments are coming in really fast. Here's a stat right here. Alfonso says home teams are 15-3 against the spread, 16-2 straight up since 2004. I think he's talking about game ones in the NBA finals. So I appreciate that. I think our guy Ralph Michaels put those stats out earlier this morning. So that's all the comments there. I want to ask you guys something. There was one more that stood out to me, and I'm going to find it. But it's always a lot of talk about, the percentage, who's betting on this, who's betting on that. Do you guys take that into account for a majority of your handicapping, or how do you feel about the ticket and money count?
It's spicy time. It's spicy time with my boy right now. Well, you can go ahead, Veno. You can answer that one.
Most people know how I feel about that shit. And just the way I talked about it a minute ago, it matters nothing to me, quite honestly. It doesn't affect my decision making, the process I take to lead up to the final conclusion I come to in the handicap for a particular game. I don't look at it and say, well, I think this side, man, the matchup lines up, the price looks good. This team has a bunch of injuries. I don't think they can match up very well against this team, and I'm ready to place the bet. And then I see 90% of the planets on the same side, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I can't bet this now? No, I don't think that way. I don't let it sway me off any betting decision I'm looking to make. So there's your answer. I like to know what the handle is, but I never let it become the final decision as far as taking me off a bet. It'll never happen.
Wham Bam?
Yeah, I look at it like Babeno said, like a luxury, bro. It's a luxury. It doesn't have to move me either way. I wouldn't necessarily put any weight on it at all, to be honest with you. Just as far as decision making, if I put money on something, I have a pretty strong enough edge or something I like about the bet. So, if it's going with me against the market, yes, yay. You know what I mean? I might beat my chest a little bit just because I'm a human. But other than that, no, if it's on the other side, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Fuck y'all. Y'all got the wrong bet. That's what I'm going to say. So at the end of the day, that's how I feel about it.
One point regarding the totals in this series, too, is we saw this with Miami-Boston. I think this series might end up being a little like that. Overs early in the series, right? Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, Boston-Miami series all went over. And then after that, it was under the rest of the series. I think you're going to see, especially if this is a long 6-7 game series, I think you'll get your overs, your high scoring games early. Then when it gets tighter, we're getting close to winning a trophy and a championship, and Larry O.B. is in the house. We get to a Game 5 and a 6 and a 7. That's when you want to be looking under in this series. So keep an eye on that. It was overs early and then unders late in that last Miami series.
I just hope they don't have that fucking Louis Vuitton case with the Larry O.B., bro. Come on, man. I don't want to see that tacky ass shit.
Hey, well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not letting it go. I got an opinion too, and I could care less. Money's on this, tickets on public, sharp. I could care less. Cap the games. That's how you find winners. Watch the games and cap what's going on. That's how you pick winners. And if you've been following me, I've had playoff success, good amount of years, except for maybe one. That's what I do. I'm not looking at who's betting what. So just try to stay away from that, especially in basketball. That's my opinion. It's not fact, but that's just how I feel. So we did a good job today. We talked a little bit about the series props. We talked about player props. We talked about the game. We talked about game one. Now I think it's about that time where we try to help the people get paid. So I'll go to Wham Bam first and let the people know what's the best bet for today.
Yeah, man, we're gonna go to the over, man. I think the over is the best bet today, even though you probably missed out on the Jimmy Butler. I got it at -140. I'm seeing -160s now. I ain't mad at you if you pass on that, but I think he's going to get 6 assists today. So everything is all sweet, man. Give me the over at 118, 218 and a half. I wish it was 118, 218 and a half for the full game. I think this is high paced game. Everybody can't stop no one here. And then there's just going to be a lot of scoring here. So give me the over for the full game total.
I like it. 218 and a half is the best number that you can get right now. And I would endorse it. I think that's a really good bet. I'm gonna go second, Babano, because we don't have Dutch. And we'll see if maybe we get Babano to do a little Dutch impression and help us get out of here. So I'm gonna go and I'll say best bet for the show. I'm giving y'all my real best bet. I've only made one play for today. So, you know, don't go buy it if you see it up somewhere. Nuggets minus 8.5 to get the job done by double digits, man. Terrible, terrible spot for Miami in game one. I wouldn't put my money on them. I wouldn't put Joe money on them. Take the Denver Nuggets to the window as the best bet for myself. And I always say, we appreciate you guys in the chat. You guys make the show fun. I've been over here laughing while everybody's talking, looking at comments. I enjoy also the people going at each other with a difference of opinions. That's what makes sports betting fun. And just a lot of great information and winning bets from you guys as well. So appreciate the chat. But Bano, I'm going to kick it to you. Let the people know how to get paid and take us home.
Well, I endorse both of the best bets there from WAM and Skee. I like both, Denver and the over. We'll go with a prop once again for best bet, though. Let's go to a three-pointers prop. Let's go to KCP. You down with KCP? Yeah, you know me. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, over 1.5 made threes. You can get that right now. FanDuel's got minus 140 on this, minus 145 at DraftKings. Over 1.5 made three-pointers for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think he's going to be an active three-point shooter here in this series. And if you look at his recent games here in the postseason, going back to Game 6, which was the clinching game of the Phoenix series in the second round, he has had at least 2 made threes in every game, 5 straight, including all 4 games in the Western Conference Finals. So all he needs is 2 made threes here tonight. I think he'll hit that. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Denver Nuggets, over 1.5 made threes, minus 145. We'll go with that for best bets. And salute to Dutch. And the way we'll salute to Dutch is we'll do a little Dutch on the way out here for this Thursday edition of the OG NBA Finals preview show. We're going in and we're coming out with a motherfucking bag. Y'all stay fresh, stay blessed, and let's stay putting these motherfucking bookies to rest. Yeah, man.
Yeah.